got to get mad. You got to get angry. You got to find your humanity, and you got to start kicking some New World Order ass in the info war before this thing gets physical. These people are your enemy. They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them. Keep drinking the fluoride water.
Fluoride water. Vaccines.
Drink out of the bisphenol A plastic.
Plastic.
Just trust government.
Whatever it says.
The evil's growing. It's coming. What you asked for is now at the door.
At the door.
It's
scratching.
Open the door and prepare to meet
my destiny.
Because you're cowards. Don't worry. Everything you want will now be released.
Released? No, can't have it released.
All the pain. The reactor's blowing
up.
The fires. The earthquakes. The wars. The death. The pain. The humiliation.
They're all out to get us.
They're all out to get us. They're all out to get us. They're all out to get us. They're out to get us. Who keeps calling?
Hey man, how are you holding up in quarantine?
Well, I haven't been sleeping much because I've been looking into conspiracy theories.
Yeah, you sound like you're having the time of your life. It sounds like you're rocking.
Rocking?
Wait, are you in the fetal position?
Rock? No, I'm not in the fetal position. That's ridiculous, man. Why would you just say that?
Dude, you just sat up straight. Take off that tinfoil hat.
What? No, tinfoil hats are tacky. I would never put one of those on.
Well, how many theories have you looked into?
Well, that's where my problem is. I've been looking into things such as the Gulf of Tonkin and Tuskegee syphilis experiment, and all of those have been proven.
Yeah, those things can get you, but just because one is right doesn't mean all of them are.
Makes sense. Wait, why did you call? There's no way you just called to guide me to conspiracy theories. As conspiracy theories continue to occupy an important place in the nation's zeitgeist, it's important to understand how we should tackle this type of information. Here, I would like to discuss two aspects of conspiracy theories that will help me further analyze my point. 1. What distinguishes a conspiracy theory from a simple inquiry? 2. When can a conspiracy theory be proven/disproven? The first of these is a complex question by itself, but the short version can be summed up by one of definitions given by Anna Merlan. Merlan states the following: it's a belief that a small group of people are working in secret against the common good to create harm, to effect some negative change in society, to seize power for themselves, or to hide some deadly or consequential secret. So, a conspiracy theory has to be some exclusive group working against the greater good of the majority, and they do so secretly. I have a problem with this definition because I'm young and I know everything. Secret is a hard concept to truly define. Does one whistleblower make it no longer a secret? Is that why Edward Snowden has to be in Russia? But put a pin on that idea because we have to analyze the difference between asking a question and a conspiracy theory. Questions are by nature open-ended and broad. They have to be because we don't have an answer, and sometimes we aren't even asking the right question, and hence it's broad. An example is what happened to the utmost respectable man Jeffrey Epstein when he committed suicide in prison under suicide watch. I can argue that this is a man that has every reason to want to take his own life. Could that be a factor in his alleged suicide? Of course. I thought about killing myself for less. But here is where the next question arises. Would someone benefit if Jeffrey Epstein just happened to not be able to testify in court? This is where the conspiracy theory hat is back on, but a genuine question is still being posed. But the following would be an outright conspiracy. President Trump and Bill Clinton both had multiple photos with Epstein. High-powered men have every reason to want to get rid of the human trafficker that can implicate them. See, that wasn't even a question. That's open and shut. I'm judge, jury, and executioner, and honestly, I'd do it again. I have just figured out something many others have been pouring months into investigating. How smart does that make me look? Conspiracy theories almost always have a foregone conclusion, while a question lets room for discussion and arguments. Let's get back to the secrecy part of Merlan's definition and realize that secrecy is hard to come by in the information age, a real hot commodity. The question here is not whether the elite group has secrecy, but would people believe in the nefarious intentions if presented to them by a small group or just one person? Well, I'm one of the people that believe that one is the loneliest number, and hence Nobody's going to believe just one person talking crazy if they have no form of authority. This person could tell, let's say, 1,000 people, but to the general public, 1,000 might as well be the crazy uncle at Thanksgiving dinner having too much fun watching the NFL game. So secrecy is not the issue here. I believe that a conspiracy can be done in front of a sizable audience and still be considered a conspiracy. What should be kept hidden is the evil intentions that the actions have behind them, not the actions themselves. This leads to the next question. When should a conspiracy theory be considered proven or disproven? How many people have to believe, or what information should be presented? On this, we can see past conspiracy theories and analyze what was needed to bring them to light. I'd like to go over the following cases: Watergate, Pearl Harbor, and the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Watergate involved President Nixon and his re-election to the highest office in the nation. A select group of his re-election committee which stole information from the Watergate Hotel. Here the question was, did Nixon know about the efforts of his underlings in what was later called the smoking gun recording Nixon we heard discussing the actions in the Oval Office? As John William Van Proyjen stated, Nixon's personal involvement in Watergate scandal no longer classifies as a conspiracy theory, given that there is no continued secrecy anymore. I believe that the conspiracy was over when the nation was made aware of Nixon's true intentions and knowledge of his lackeys' actions and the implication of those actions. Next, let's visit the conspiracy theory that involved the attack at Pearl Harbor and, as stated by Jovan Byford, when the opponent of Franklin D. Roosevelt accused him of allowing Pearl Harbor to happen in order to create a pretext for taking America to war. History would prove to be on the side of Roosevelt in this case, as Japan attacked due to embargoes placed on them by the United States. Next, we have the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, where, as explained by John William Van Proyjen, scientists pretended to offer free healthcare to African American men. In reality, they studied the natural development of untreated syphilis. The experiment lasted for 40 years. This is where conspiracy theories turn darker, and the threat of not taking them seriously is presented. In the case of the Tuskegee experiment, it was discovered by the New York Times 40 years after the experiment started, and by that time no one could be prosecuted. This is when we should realize that even though there exist some outlandish conspiracy theories, the danger in not believing in any of them is substantial. You might think, well, this is just one very exclusive case, and there you would be wrong. There are many no longer conspiracy theories that have been proven, like some notable examples being Operation Paperclip, Gulf of Tonkin incident, MK Ultra. This is where I direct my attention to the audience of this persuasive video. What should you do when you think you have a piece of news but are on the edge about its validity? First, realize if you have any strong emotions about the topic. This is being presented because, as stated by John William Van Proyjen, unpredictable situations make people feel less in control, and as a consequence, people start relying more strongly on external sources of control. With current times, people might be more prone to believe in something that gives them comfort when contrasted with the current reality. Another important aspect that we should recognize is that, as Estrella Gualda puts it, being social animals, we also enjoy storytelling and the pleasure of sharing apparently new, original, and exclusive stories. This is just part of our psychology, but if people make an effort of understanding it, then they become more aware of how to control it. So, what I would like the esteemed viewer to do is to take a critical look at the news they decide to consume. It would be ludicrous to say that we should do this with all news because nobody has that amount of time under normal circumstances. But when a news article gets a reaction out of you, really think about the reaction that is being evoked, because that feeling is probably intentional. Next, if you are truly interested in the piece of news, look at a couple of sources and see where they differ. If the news you are looking at happens to be political, look at right-wing and left-wing sources. Again, this is an unreasonable request if I expect it to be done for everything that one individual reads. Just do it if something really interests you or provokes strong emotions out of you. If we all do this, I believe that we can all inform each other on all the different aspects of life, and with this, we will all become more knowledgeable in all areas. Even if we have opposing views, discussions can show us how we are wrong about an idea or moral we hold important or close to us and make us reevaluate these ideas. And if you want to look at some conspiracy theories, there are a couple of good YouTube videos, but I will not recommend any because they are mostly shady. Okay, now that we have all that squared out, how long will quarantine last?
Do